Alright, welcome captains. This is gonna be our version 6.8 overview slash shop review slash banner review. First things first, you want to make sure you cap out your dailies. Double check your events, make sure you get all your login bonuses, the events that were ongoing from the last couple of days or weeks. Try to get your frame if you still can. Some of those concert stuff is already over, but you can still farm a bunch of this other stuff. So this is going to be the ongoing event for the story stages. Definitely worthwhile playing because it ties into, well, the event shop. You want to make sure you get all this stuff, right? Prioritize the Stigmata first and then do the other stuff. Hey, they actually brought it back like a traditional event shop. Interesting. But it's the end of the 3-chapter arc, right? This is the 4th chapter. The art book event. Make sure you read the rules and make sure you read the rules because this is gonna be a hot topic item. I know on global it's a lot more chill than SCA, so if you're on SCA, good luck captains. Very important for the second option, this option box. If you already have Might of on Utu or Feng Huang down and it's already been tuned or pri-armed, it will not show owned. Alright, so for veteran captains, 99% of the veteran captains will be saving the box for the reroll device. For newer captains, Whispers of the Past and Kissy Pillow might be the immediate option in terms of like short-term progression. But if you don't have on Utu or Feng Huang down, and double check if you do or not, you know, in your Divine Key Concierge, double check before you commit. The Pardo weapon will probably be like the short-term progression option, but for long-term progression, on Utu and Feng Huang down would be really nice. What you can also do is, like, if your account is able to leverage a firepower supply in 7.0, which is when I'm expecting the next firepower supply to happen, you might want to hold this and get whatever opposite Divine Key that you don't pull for in a firepower supply. Now, why I say Divine Keys for long-term progression is that it's the plus 10 permanent, plus 10 attack permanent for your account. All right. For the make sure you get all your weeklies and stuff done if you really want that art book. And if you don't want the art book that badly, you can always try to find a copy on Tmall. It'll probably be the CN version. There's probably gonna be a JP version available on the Amazon Japan. And then you can also, because that's how I ended up with multiple copies of the Volume 1. And there's a good chance that MiHoYo will work with Kinokuniya for publishing another round of the English versions, hopefully. So, you know, if you're doing this regularly, looks like there's no dailies, but there's weeklies so far. Looks like there's weeklies. Make sure you also don't forget to play the Old Memories web event. I'm not gonna click on it because it's gonna pull into it, but oh, I might as well click on it because my overlay is blocking it. If you go click on the Old Memories, there's a web event mini game that you can click on and play. This will have some sort of dailies. So this will be somewhat time sensitive if you don't want to fall behind. And there are crystal rewards, so don't miss this. Alright, what else is going on? Don't forget to play your tutorial stages for Rosele, for the Priarm. This will be baked in. I'm sure there's a trial stage for Project Bunny as well. Yeah. So Project Bunny featured as a VTuber in Kira's event. Now a playable elf. So, you know, 20 crystals for not having it. You get a 2 elf supply card rebate if you do pull. And also, version overview, you can share this. If you click on this, you can share this for 20 crystals. I'm gonna copy the link. and that will be 20 crystals. So this is something that you can do. Usually this would have been available at the end of last patch, but I guess I forgot to look at it. So now here's our 20 crystals. Let's go take a look at the shops. So right now in the shops, we have a spending event. Every year over the summer, we have 2 mini spending events during the S rank patches after Spring Festival. And then over the winter, we have, you know, or not just winter, but after this, 7.0 will be our next major spending event. That's going to be CN and SCA anniversary, mid-autumn for the rest of us. And there's going to be a major spending event there. And then Spring Festival, which would be Chinese New Year, you know, Lunar New Year, and Global Anniversary. Can you believe it? Next spring is going to be 7 years of Global. That's wild. That's crazy. All right. So make sure you do all the trial stages. You know, there's crystals here. Silky Violet Dream, I believe, is one of the outfits. All the pulls that you do, up to 20 pulls in dorm. So a lot of us have our dorm tickets saved. Outfit for Mistalin. I'm sure a lot of you that follow up on like beta news and upcoming content should already be well aware of this shop. This follows a traditional formula. You know, you have your collector's card that you can use to snipe gear, your focus ticket rebates, and then your elf stuff. I would probably prioritize it. Basically, the first 4 items would be kind of like my priority items, and then the rest of it you kind of get what you need. Wafers are generally good for affix lock for high level competitive players. Einstein's Taurus for anybody 81 and up. These special outfit coupons, this is actually one of the few instances where if you're a free-to-play player, you can actually use your saved up crystals to get outfit coupons. So that's kind of like dependent on what your goals are. Subjective option, but it is one way to get cosmetics for not spending real currency. That's one way to get special tickets without spending real money. And then my personal favorite is the booster tickets. When you're feeling kind of lazy and you don't want to do your adventure task, you can just use a few booster tickets, get her done. What's good in the weapon shop? I might actually want Tower of the Past for Vil V, but warning, Stigmata, you usually only get one option, right? You only get to pick one per set. So that's a caveat that you have to remember. Very careful now. If you're using the collector shop for Stigmata, you only get one piece per set. I know that has tripped people up in the past, so you want to be careful. Now, in my case, if I wanted to get a Kalodi piece, I might pick one here, and then I keep my option box from 6.7, 5.9 or whatever. I keep my option box unopened until I have a solid last piece to get. And in this case, because I know Kalodi is one of the off rates on the Sele gear banner, I might not even try to get her Stigmata until I get some off rates, right? I might not even pick up a weapon until I see what I get from the gear banner. So that's one thing to consider if you're specifically looking for Vil V gear. A couple of the other pieces that are still worthwhile. Astra's pretty still nice right now because Griseo's still seeing some use. Echoes of Paradise is still a really nice all-around pistol for pistol support, because it got team total damage. And in that same vein, Pardo's Piranha, right? Not Whispers of the Past, but Piranha. Piranha also has team total damage. Whispers of the Past. Why did they show the why did they show Piranha in that option box if it didn't have Piranha? Oh, let me go look at that one more time. Because Whispers of the Past Now, if you're a tried and true Elysia stan, you know, Elysia is the whole reason you're playing this game. Whispers of the Past is something that you might be interested in as a collectible. As DPS, she's still, like, mid-tier viable. I wouldn't definitely not put her in, like, priority or top tier at this point in the game because of how long it takes to farm her to triple S. But if you're a free-to-play player, you're playing casually, you know, Whisper of the Past is a viable option, especially if you're Elysia stan. Not high priority. I would basically say everything in the second row and below would be mostly for collection or like niche strat application. And Lost Conviction is also kind of niche at this point. If you're an Aponia stan. Miracle Kissy Pillow, still handy though. Still handy, but not super priority at this point. Same goes for everything else. And then Dark Star is pretty much purely a collection item. I do not recommend at this point. Crusher Bunny, though, also still has some, like, placeholder value. If you have Hersher of Truth, but no signature weapon, Crusher Bunny is still like an okay placeholder. That being said, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to use a ticket for this if you're missing anything on the top row, like Astra, Echoes, or Piranha. I definitely feel like for relatively newer accounts, like, I don't know, you just started playing yesterday, or you maybe started playing like a year ago, Astra, Echoes, and Piranha would probably be my top recommendations as far as, like, helping you catch up. Oh yeah, Turgenev, that's a good point. Turgenev is here if you need one piece to match your top and bottom 2 set. Avogadro is here for an M piece, or maybe you just want to finish the collection. Holmes is here if you only have one set of Aladdin and you want to, you know, maximize your Valkyrie Quicksand Susanna. But just remember, you only get one piece, so pay attention to what you can afford and what you actually need. So I would not recommend Handle because you can slow farm that, even though it does take a while. Cezanne B is a solid piece if you don't own any Cezanne. I wouldn't bother with Ragna at this point because Fire G4 will be here. I feel like I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to actually log into 6.9 beta for CN testing, but you know, I'll try to do that either tonight or this weekend. I feel like a lot of these I don't really need to go over too in depth, but Paganini M is really good standalone still. Linnaeus I probably wouldn't bother with at this point unless you are missing literally just one piece. A bunch of these other ones in this row, like, again, if you're only missing one piece, Elysia you can fully slow farm without spending any crystals. All you need is time. So this one I probably would recommend against as well. I'm just gonna wait until Vern's fully craftable as well. Like, yeah, I feel like Turgenev, if you're missing top or bottom to match the 2 set, Avogadro M, situational. Holmes if you're missing one particular piece, situational. And then Paganini M is a solid standalone. The rest on the Stigmata is like, if you're literally missing one piece or if you just needed one specific thing, right? The one piece is real. Just remember to be careful with Kalodi because Kalodi is available as an off rate. I would probably wait till after you finish your gear pulls before you commit to any of that. Bundles, generally speaking, spending event bundles are a little bit weirder because they don't give you crystals, they give you shop currency. So be careful when it comes to the shop currency. Have a goal in mind what you're gonna spend on. We kind of went over that. Outfits, you know, elf fragments, the collector card. Those are kind of like the priority pieces, but if you don't need any of that. Just be careful when you're topping up for bundles. Once this event is over, I think they might do like 1 second round of smaller filler bundles to prep for next patch in the second half of this patch. We can probably look at that when that happens. So these all fall under event special. As usual, you know, if you're topping up, try to use your first time bonuses. If you are really intent on topping up, you can afford it. One other way you can do is stacking up your monthly cards. Stacks up to, what, 600 days or something like that? So you can stack it up 10 times. B-chips for your B-chip bundles. Cyclic, remember that your cyclic bundles are generally really high value, so your weekly and monthly. Weekly is slightly higher value than monthly, but monthly you just get more upfront. You just get more stuff because there's only 4 weeks a month, but you get 10 cards in a monthly. So buy according to your means, according to your needs. And don't forget that Monday the new battle pass will kick in. So before Sunday, you want to make sure you use up all your honor chips. All right. Before Sunday, use up all your honor chips. All right, next on the agenda, don't forget to click this. You can watch these preview videos, wait for this cooldown timer, and you can farm some free nickel and dime crystals. So Mr. Whatever in the chat says G4 Fire seems pretty bad for anybody but Siren, but you also have to understand that the raw stats will just be better than the old stuff. Alright, reset on EU. I'm gonna go through and grab all these. So I'm sure we can take a look at the details on why or why not you would or wouldn't want to use G4 Fire. But I can tell you the reason that you would want to use G4 Fire is because you're going to be building G4 Fire for Siren anyways. It doesn't make sense for you to build G4 Fire and then decide, oh, I'm going to go back and craft another Leywin Hook. Like, if you already have a duplicate set of Leywin Hooks sitting around, maybe. Oh, this hasn't reset yet. But it's a matter of convenience. If you're already upgrading your one Leywin Hook set, if you already don't have a full set of Marata, and at best you maybe have Thales TM, no Kalodi, no Ragna, like, why wouldn't you just use Fire G4 on every Fire DPS that you have? Make use of the loadout ability that, for some reason, is unique to Hoyoverse, Honkai 3rd across all the other Hoyoverse games. Imagine if you had a menu like this for Genshin and Star Rail, where you could just move your relics and artifacts around with the click of a button. You know, it's way easier to move around Stigmata in this game. So once I get my Fire G4, I will definitely save a set of Fire G4 across all my old meta Fire DPSs. It'll be great. It'll be fine, you know? Alright, so we went over the event tab, we went over the shop tab, the bundles and the top-ups tab. Is there any new outfits right now? Just the usual outfits. Hey, maybe I could buy some tickets here and finally get my missing Himeko outfits. Ooh, yeah. Alright, let's go look at the banners. Oh wait, we should look at this shop too. Supply shop updated, the Witch's Corridor update. Nothing new in regular Witch Orb shop. Anything new in gold shop? No, still the same. Still the same. Okay, supply shop. Rotation. Starchasm Nyx and Hersher of Thunder. Hersher of Thunder. Wedge is old, but I know some of y'all got a free Wedge, so if you can somehow manage to get Wedge to 3 stars as an F2P, that would be good long-term value if you're not planning on rolling on any Ice Elves. I know Elf Elysia is really popular, so like if you already have her in mind, Elf Elysia in mind, I'd probably play it by ear, kind of. Like this shop will constantly rotate, and every time it rotates, you know, you'll get another shot. It's kind of a really long-termy thing, but generally, these fragments you'll save for your rank up stamps or your crystal cores if you're an endgame player. Activity shop, another round of HOS stamps for long-term players. Maybe you're trying to go from SS1 to SS2 now. That might be me, actually. I might actually have to start grinding Elysian Realm. Option box for A rank fragments. I would probably go for Raven as priority and then the rest next. This is only really important getting Raven online if you're a newer account and you don't have that many fire supports. War Treasury. Start saving all your stuff for 6.9. Siren's gonna need 480 of both. So, good luck saving. Longtime players might find themselves an overflowing amount of willpowers, but you might be short on legacies. I will start saving this patch, and then I may crack open some of the ancient legacy boxes I've been sitting on from the last few anniversary events. I think that's about it, right? Everything else... Oh, event shops, yeah. So we kind of... Well, don't look at the Dawe Villa, but we went over this. We went over this. Starlight merch. This is previous event. This is really risky. This is kind of bait, where they make you spend crystals to clean out the shop. I would try to avoid doing this, but if you really must have the outfit for Durandal, you can somewhat justify it. Or if you're just like a little bit short of the 100 crystals thing, you know, you could maybe like say, okay, I'm gonna trade in like 20 crystals to get 10, so you get 80 back, right? So that's kind of a iffy thing. But this event is over. This is your last chance to clear the shop, basically. And then this is also a last patch event. So like this is kind of just like, if you forgot to buy the stuff, make sure you buy the stuff before the shop goes away. And then we talked about this. This is the book event. And then the new chapter event. Play the chapter, get rewards, get this stigmata. M slot. Huh. This is not bad for free to play if you're on a new account. 10%. I'm guessing this maxes out to 20. 20% more TDM with QT and Ultimate. That could be really good for certain battlesuits early on. I wouldn't say it's high priority, but it's definitely a good-looking collectible. Okay, banner review! Finally! The banner review! Well, what's there to say? Hersher of Rebirth. She's the star of the patch. Definitely worthwhile getting. S0 for long-term and S2 for extreme quality of life if you're a competitive player. I know, I was talking to a handful of users and they were like, yeah, I cannot afford to go for S2. I was like, fair. My current goal is if we get lucky enough on S0 card and gear pulls, I will try for S2. And then after S2, we'll do pulls for Project Bunny. But if we don't get lucky at all, then I think I just stop at S0 and whatever we get for gear. And we'll try to slow pull the gear the rest of the way for the duration of the patch. So, 28-day banner starting today. That means we have until the end of the month. Sadly, these A rank battlesuits don't do anything. I think they should start putting up SP battlesuits as the uprate A rank, and then the rest of the slots they can fill with old A ranks. That's my personal opinion. They probably won't make that change, because then how are they gonna sell the SP battlesuit banners? I don't know. We can put it in the feedback survey this at the end of this patch. Focus A. This is her gear. Yes, you definitely want her gear. Yes, there are alternatives. You can find the alternatives probably on some other channels like Wyvern and Marissa. I'm pretty sure they've done plenty of coverage on that. Let's take a look at the off rates. Get her gear if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, just make do with the best that you can. Echo of Paradise! So again, this is why I was like warning you all, before you go to the collection shop, make sure you do all your pulls first, because maybe you get some of the stuff that you would have been looking for in the collection shop from these off rates. Echoes of Paradise, Tower of the Past, Miracle Kissy Pillow, they show up in the collection shop, but they're here first in the off rates. So maybe you grab these along the way while you're getting this. Hopefully you don't get too many off rates, because that means if you're getting a lot of off rates, that means your pulls are not going that well. The most recent of these, Rudder and Dream, would be definitely a nice to have. I-Chan Blade Supreme would be nice to have as a 3-set. Ozlog, if you can get MP standalone or top and bottom as a 2-set, those are your, more common uses of Ozlog. Ozlog 3-set is definitely, like, nice to have, but I'm not going to recommend it as something you go out of your way for. And again, like, with off rates, it's nothing you ever go out of your way for. I'm just giving you the scenarios where, like, if you get 1 or 2 pieces, which situations those would be handy, right? So Ozlog top and bottom, if you end up with top and bottom, that's a nice 2-set if you're a progression state on your account. If you're a progression account, if you're not, like, already endgame or whatever, Ozlog M is a really nice standalone because it stacks with Musician M. You can actually run 2 in the same team and farm that fire damage bonus. Cezanne. So again, Cezanne is in the collection shop, where, like, Cezanne TB is kind of like the 2-set that you want in quite a few instances, and then you can slot in the M with, like, Beethoven M or something. Or Cezanne MB, if you played the last 2 patches and you have Susanna T, Cezanne MB is a nice, like, 2-set where you slot Susanna T in the top slot. The most important standalone, I think T-piece you can use standalone in certain situations, but B-piece is the more universal one with the combo activation. It's kind of like a longer Newton B, and it just makes the enemy take more total damage. So it's a nice extra multiplier. And then Li Susang Senzo Reminiscence. Try to get 3-set if you can on this set when this is on its own banner. But if you get off-rate pieces, you just put it in your inventory and you wait, right? You wait until you can get the 3-set. B-piece does have some really funny standalone utility, and top and bottom 2-set does have some nice, like, standalone. The set bonus is not terrible. It's just not that great when you compare it against the 3-set. So getting any Li Susang pieces when you don't have any already is not bad, but you just have to hang on to it for long term. Remember, and this is probably something that new players don't get up front as a tutorial or anything, but, like, when you get off rates, don't think about salvaging stuff right away. The newer your account is, the more likely you will have use cases for a lot of the off rates that you end up with. What if you get 3-set from banner, though? Then that's good. Especially if you didn't already own a 3-set from before. That's good. Now you have full gear Susang. And Susang is slow farmable for free. You don't have to spend any crystals. Yeah, so traditionally, I leave the duplicates that I know I don't need anymore. I just leave them unlocked in my inventory. And then I only salvage them for Stigmata Resonance when there's something in the exchange shop that I specifically need on a given week. Or in the case of newer players, chances are you're probably going to be farming the resonance for red lenses to craft stuff from Foundry. And so again, in the similar position, like I would only salvage it once you've gotten all the chrysolite and the fuel farmed, and the only thing left that you have is red lenses. So then, only then do you salvage for the resonators and buy the red lenses. Okay, let's take a look at Focus B. Focus B, Rudder and Dream. Blade Supreme, Rudder and Dream. This set is nice for fire. This set is really nice for fire. I personally haven't used too much of this stuff standalone. But the B piece does look like it could be used, like, you know, total damage you can always use kind of standalone. And, you know, if you don't have any fire DPS sets, you could definitely use it as a placeholder. Alright, let's take a look at the off rates. So traditionally on global, we get a worse pool of off rates than what usually shows up on the Aru stats page. Key of Radiance, kind of old meta now. Can you guys believe it? It's already been 2 years since Flame Scion. Basilisk's Image, almost 2 years since Basilisk's Image. Nocturnal Stealth is not bad, right? That goes with Susang. So that's kind of more recent. That's within the last year. Astral Rend, White Dwarf, a year and a half has already passed. Yeah, a year and a half has already passed. So White Dwarf, Astral Rend is a nice placeholder scythe because it's got total damage on it. Midnight Eclipse, also a year and a half has passed. Probably the best generic physical lance right now in the game. Just my experience with running Asuka is that Midnight Eclipse has just been better mileage over Abyss Flower, except in the instances where you need the shorter ultimate cooldown reduction. And for long-term players, chances are you're going to be picking up an Abyss Flower or somewhere down the road, whether from firepower or otherwise. So, you know, it's neither here nor there. If you get it, just hang on to it if it's your only copy. If it's not your only copy, then just, you know, leave it unlocked or convert it for resonators. And that's also a very important point for new players, is like, don't salvage for cubes unless you are drowning, and literally drowning, in weapon off rates. 9.5 times out of 10, you're gonna be converting your weapons into weapon resonators. So you want to look for the second tab on the right-hand side. You'll know it when you see it, because you'll get blue stuff back instead of a pink cube. So, you know, the up rate is obvious, very nice to have. Raksha T is phasing out slowly, but it is nice to have. You know, if you have a set of Raksha, you can use it as a placeholder on Hersher of Rebirth. I would... It's nice if you can get pieces of this, like, to finish a set. It's not that nice if you're rolling on this trying to get your up rates and then you get, like, dupes of Raksha, right? But it's an older set. It still is usable in certain situations. I wouldn't discount it entirely if you pick one up as a new account, because, like, you can still use it as a DPS placeholder in certain situations. Like, the M piece is great for just flat physical damage, and the top piece as well. And the bottom piece, surprisingly enough, like, I remember using it in some niche strats back in the day. Ana Shariat, craftable, but if you do get Ana off rates, it does help speed up your farming time by saving you a ton of fuel. Bronya Nex has really cool art, but nowadays on Silverwing we're using top and bottom as a 2-set with the Hersher of Truth Bronya M. But the Bronya M from Silverwing set does have really cool artwork. And then Zhenyi. Zhenyi was pretty cracked on release during the Genshin crossover. Nowadays, it's kind of like a G3.5 equivalency in terms of Lightning Stigmata. For most players, long-term, you'll probably already have enough handle sets where you won't need Zhenyi, but Zhenyi still comes up in a few double S strats where you need the SP regen from the set bonus and whatnot. or the top piece, right? You get SP back on weapon active. So overall, the off rates aren't great, but they're better than what I'm used to seeing in Focus B. Because Focus B, a lot of times, especially in the back half of any given patch, you'll see a lot of like year 1, year 2 stuff. So at least here, it's a lot of year 4 stuff, which is better, but not great. Because we're in year 6 right now. We're in year 6 going on year 7. It's better, but not great. So I would only roll on this banner if you're like big spender and you're still in that progression state. If you're a new player, if you're free to play, I would just dump all the crystals in here, dump all your crystals in here. I would probably go for card first, and then I would go for this. That would be my spending pull priority if you're free to play new account. Okay, 7 Thunders and Dr. May for Prometheus. This is a potentially dangerous banner. They do give you a wishing well, so maybe the last Prometheus gear banner, you have duplicates of 1 and you're missing another. Someone within the last week was commenting, oh, there's a 7 Thunders banner and new players get Hersher of Thunder for free. Caution! 7 Thunders is not the guarantee. The guarantee weapon is Pandora's Box. So, what does that mean? That means you could get extremely lucky, grab 7 Thunders on the first 10 pull, and, you know, you're on your way to whatever endgame content you have next. On your way to the Elysian Realm. Great. Or, you could go 50 plus multi-pulls in and not see a 7 Thunders ever. You want to be very careful with this. So, a couple of things. How badly do you like Raiden May? How badly do you want to play Hersher of Thunder in the current landscape of the meta? How risk averse are you? If you're a brand new player, this is a very tempting banner, but it could also potentially go very bad. Also, caveat, sidebar, I forgot to mention this, but if you're a new player and you have starter supply, I would avoid starter supply and pull for her. Pull for this one instead. Pull for Rebirth. Okay. Let's take a look at the off rates here. So 7 Thunders is up rate but not guaranteed. So caution on that one. Falcon Flare. Yeah, it's within the last 2 years, but not priority. Zither, kind of okay on a new account, not that useful for endgame accounts. But it's cool that it's here, right? Talked about Astral Ren, we talked about Whispers of the Past, and then Lost Conviction, that's a Ponia's weapon. You can kind of use it as a placeholder on most Chakram users, but it's not as good of a placeholder as Pardo's, so it's kind of like stat stick tier. Yeah, you pulled the trigger on this banner and got all 3 Dr. May stigs, thankfully. Yeah, so that's good, Bright Green, but that's, you know, it's very risky, right? But you decided to take the risk and it paid off. But maybe for another player, they take the risk and it doesn't pay off because they get nothing but off rates. That would just feel really bad. Yes, it just feels really bad. Stigmata off rates. Murata Himiko for Flame Scion. You know, it's kind of old at this point, right? 2 years old at this point. Really pretty art. I know some of you Star Rail consumers are Calf Hime shippers like me, and you go back to that 2021 post of Honkai 3rd Calf Hime where it's Murata Himiko and then Kafka 3 set on the opposite side. Some of you are like, oh, maybe if you're in that category, you wouldn't mind picking up a few of these off rates, right? Linnaeus, again, we're 2 months shy of 2 years on Mobius. So, Linnaeus, you know, if you get off pieces from here, it's you can use it as a placeholder for your lightning DPS, especially if they're combo type or if they're summoned entity like Fischl. Fischl's funny enough, not combo, right? She's summoned entity, but she's charge attack. So Linnaeus is like, you gotta read the Stigmata description. Bastet, if you get 2-piece or M-piece or you know, there's a couple of Bastet utility situations where, like, if you didn't get Kira gear, you could run Bastet 2-set here and there on her. Or you could use Bastet as a placeholder on your Ice DPS if you don't have any other gear for your Ice DPS. It's fine. It's not entirely useless. It's not high priority either. And then Willow's is very nice as a G4 because that is straight up DPS for your Ice set. It is completely farmable though, so this is more of a time-saving feature than something you really are looking for. And again, reminder, right? You never roll on these banners looking for the off rates. You're here to pull for the up rates. Now, what makes a good banner for you is if you don't have a lot of the off rates, where getting an off rate now becomes a boon to your account. It's added value to your account because now you're getting stuff that you didn't have before that now you can use as a placeholder while you're waiting for new stuff to roll out that you can then roll for. You know, it's one thing we talked about when the player in the chat last time, they were like, 7 Thunders is good value for new players. I disagree, because you want to roll forward in the meta. You don't want to roll backwards. In this case, getting 7 Thunders still doubles as long-term progression, so there is some value. But because 7 Thunders is not the guarantee, your risk assessment is catastrophic. If Kronos is still in the chat, he could type in the chat and tell you how many times he got screwed over heavily because he tried to roll on a Shicksal Arsenal for a Divine Key when it was not the uprate Divine Key. It was not the guaranteed weapon. Waiting for firepower supply is what I would probably do if you're a newer player and you're not as concerned with competitive play. If you're a competitive spender getting into the game and you need all this stuff, and your like budget is not an issue and you want to brute force the banners, like, you know, if you can afford it and not feel bad about spending that much, maybe. All right, maybe. Do I recommend this banner? No. Maybe if like you already have a duplicate and you just need the wishing well, okay. And this is okay, and this brings up a great point with wishing wells. Wishing wells is another reason that I like to sit on my my duplicate Stigmata for resonators. I recently bought Schrodinger T from the exchange shop, and you can see here I only have 230 weapon or Stigmata resonators now. So I have a bunch of dupes that I could use. I could salvage them for Stigmata resonators to use in a future wishing well, but it's not urgent. Kronos said the game will never let you win. Yeah, Kronos, which banners did you get screwed on? I remember one of them was Feng Huang Down, right? Feng Huang Down, Shicksal Arsenal kind of really hit you hard on that one, because you went like, I think you went 100 pulls, didn't see a single one or something like that. Yeah, so Archarman also testifying that Lord Akayuki, the greatest SCA player, also got shafted on such a banner. But in Akayuki's case, he could afford to brute force the banner and get it eventually. Doomsday Spark. In this banner, I would only recommend if you have leftover tickets, because again, this is not priority. She's completely farmable. If you missed out on her launch patch, which was 2 patches ago, 6.6, I would only really do this if you have leftover SP supplied cards from like a previous whatever event that gave these out. I would not necessarily recommend pulling on this, even though this is relatively a cheap banner. So that's the one thing nice about the SP Battlesuit banners, is that they cost 120 pulls, and it's very easy to just get one online and start using that as your kind of main carry until you get into later game. The A rank Valkyries are like, you know, randomized. They could be anything from the A rank pool. It doesn't really matter. The most benefit from A ranks now is for your dorm expeditions, which is your like assignment and expedition equivalent. But certain stats do affect which tasks you can assign them to. Okay, so mostly skip. You want to slow farm her fragments using the Asterite shop. Elf. Kind of skippable, right? Elves are generally considered luxury, so if you're F2P, if you're a light spender, generally this would be low priority, unless you've already decided that this is a long-term goal and you're gonna, pull on this banner and get her over time, whether that takes up like multiple banners of pity farming, or you just gonna brute force it with top-ups this time. Now, we've had a few discussions in the chat about Project Bunny specifically in the last couple days. 3 stars is the sweet spot yet again. That's been consistent for a lot of elves, where 3 spot is the value sweet spot. Like you spend X amount to get 2 cards, and then you get your 3-star combat effective, but you also didn't have to go all the way to 4 stars, whatever. If you have a high-ranked Blade Durandal, like 4 stars, Blade Durandal is fine. That is the general consensus that we've seen in the chat over the last week plus. So this is more for collection and convenience. If you are a competitive player, you should probably plan to pull 3 stars or above, if you can afford it. If you're only planning to just get 1 copy, that would be if you're a collector player, right? If you're a collector player, 1 copy is enough. Or if it's your first S rank elf, that's not your free-to-play free elves. I can sort of see that as a reasonable justification to pull. And this one also goes for about a month. So all the main banners for this patch are about a month long. All right, Dorm. What's left in the pool? Dorm supply. You basically only ever want to pull in here with the tickets. You don't want to spend crystals in here. Even for new players, right? Even for new players, your first 2 S ranks are at like 25 pulls each. Even for new players, I probably wouldn't recommend spending crystals in here anymore. Now, there's a few of this old meta stuff that's still playable to an extent. A lot of these are farmable through other means now too. AE is still not yet farmable, so if you get AE, it's big stonks. Stygian Nymph, still not farmable for the card, so if you can get her, kind of stonks. And then Bright Knight, also not available for cards yet either. Argent Knight, technically not easily farmable, but her fragments do show up in Gold Witch Orb Shop. So that could be something that you work on long term if you are a Rita stan. But, there's a lot more that can be said, but a lot of this, because it's old content, I'm not really going to go over too much. And this is actually where we're going to start when we do our pulls here in a second. But that pretty much covers the version 6.8 events, shops, freebies, banners. So yeah, this is kind of where you want to be right here. This right here. Now, what are the situations where you would want to skip this banner? Why would you want to skip this? Maybe you're saving for 7.0, right? CN anniversary, SCA anniversary, Mid-Autumn Festival. Maybe you're saving for 7.0. Maybe you just don't like this character that much, and you're not prioritizing a physical team. So in that situation, she's just not priority for you. That's perfectly okay. Maybe the current spending event rewards, they're not that attractive for you, and you just don't care. Completely valid. Caveat to that is that if you are looking for even semi-meta, like if you're a core gamer and you're looking for somewhat semi-meta completeness, Rebirth definitely falls in the category of she's going to be the long-term physical staple. She's going to be the kingpin of a physical team going forward for probably the next 1.5 to 2.5 years. So keep that in mind. You know, if you don't get her now, you can always try to get her on the 7.0 rerun, or, you know, Global. They like to give Global the Foca Expo right around Christmas time. So like between Christmas and New Year's, there's gonna be a Foca Expo where she'll probably show up, and that's also something that you can try to go for if you're not getting her at the current banner. And maybe like if you're a high spender, I really want to highlight Nefer's case scenario, where Nefer was a very big Seele stand, is a big Seele stand, specifically Veliona stand, and historically has tripled S every Battlesuit for Seele. But this time around, he did not find the playstyle appealing enough, and thus opted to only go for double S. You know, maybe some of y'all are traditionally high spenders and you decided, hey, this is the patch, I'm cutting back. And that could be a reason where you postpone or skip or delay, etc. And I think that's also a very healthy decision to make. In my case, I kind of want the S2 rank up for quality of life. Here, let's go take a look. S2 has a really nice quality of life feature. This is very important for competitive players, but also like if you just don't want to suffer in the abyss. S2 gives you the starting meter, where it only really affects the first rotation, but that first rotation could be anywhere from like a 10 to 40 point gap in Nirvana levels. So, you know, originally I was like, I'm gonna go for S2, and now I'm kind of like, well, I'll go for S2 if we get lucky. Is it needed? No, need is subjective, right? You determine need based on what your goals are with the game. Some of you, you know, your goal is just play the story and like pick up stuff along the way for collection here and there, and that's completely fine. Does that mean you need this Battlesuit? No. Does that mean you need rank ups? Hell no. So keep your goals in mind when you're doing all of the pulling and whatnot. You know, keep your budget in mind. Some of you can afford to brute force it with budget, and some of you don't. You should not. You know, maybe it's just in your better interest to not top up in this game at all. You know, but it's all gonna be subjective. It's all gonna be down to the individual player. That about concludes our version overview / banner review. I wish they would stop with the S2 trend. Me too. But they're kind of a year and a half, a year and 3/4 deep into it now. Some Battlesuits it definitely feels worse on than others. That much is true. All right, thank you all for sticking around for all that talking. I'm gonna start my pulls. Here. Thank you everybody on YouTube land. Yeah, good luck, captains, on your pulls. Chances are a majority of you have already pulled too. All right, and banner review.